the Bible where it's talking about the Abrahamic covenant, this covenant with Abraham. And think of that as God's agreement, God's promise that he's always going to be working with us in these different ways. And today what we're going to look at is this beautiful line where God talks about the covenant being passed on. It's a beautiful line from Genesis 17, verse 19. And God said, and here he's talking to Abraham, and God said, "Truly, Sarah, your wife, is bearing you a son, and you shall call his name Isaac, and I will set up a pact with him, an eternal pact for his seed after him." So it's here's God saying, like, there's this covenant that's part of life, and this covenant is not just here and now, but it's there and then. In other words, it's this beautiful holding that God will be there too. And it goes on to say this. What does that mean? It means that, for his seed after him, and this is from the book Secrets of Heaven, 2085. Seed symbolizes people whose faith in the Lord, faith in God, is born out of love. In other words, people who love God. So it symbolizes heavenly people, or people in a heavenly church. And the beauty of that, folks, is that idea that this is a faith born in love. And that's the covenant, that it will always be there. Now, what does this mean in real practical terms? Well, I think it's so important, again, for us to keep on reminding our, children, grandchildren, whatever people we are caregivers for, to keep on reminding them of these horizons, and to keep on reminding them that God will be there too. That it's, as Anne Lamott famously said, like, it's never the bottom of the ninth. And I feel like, boy, that needs repeated over and over and over again. Like, it's never the bottom of the ninth. And it can feel many times like the bottom of the ninth. There are things that feel so cataclysmic. And it's true that life will never be the same exactly the way it was. That's very, very true. But that idea of this covenant, that idea that there's this faith that is born of love that will continue on, and that continues on generation to generation, and that's where we find God, is critically important. I think about a line, and I remember when I first heard this, and it made such an impact on me. So I've had many years where I've had wonderful people working for me or with me in different environments. And one of them was a housing administrator, local school academy, the New Church, ANC, which some of you are probably familiar with. And was a housing administrator there. And one of the people who worked for me, we were talking about mentoring and what mentoring really looks like and how we could help with mentoring roles. And this person had a beautiful definition of mentoring. And this is courtesy of Keith Gruber. He said, mentoring is when you're helping someone because you can see a brighter future than they could see just by themselves. And I want to repeat that. You can see a brighter future that they could see just by themselves. There is a great takeaway. There is something that we really can offer to the world that aligns us with that love. And it really is saying, like, look, despite the appearance of today, that there's this much bigger picture, and that there is a brighter future. You can't see it today, but just trust me, it's there. And that trust is that's the faith part. I think so much of life, especially if you have young adults in your life that you're trying to help move forward in their lives, is just a reminder that we tend to think in snapshots. God thinks in a movie, if that makes sense. So we tend to look at a very particular event. Here's the event. And some of these events are very hard, are, cataclysmic in some ways. Probably some of you watching today are wrestling with that kind of event. A lot of them aren't that cataclysmic, but some clearly are. And it's easy to think, no, this picture will always be the same. I will always be stuck in this picture this way. And I think that's really what hell wants us to believe. But God instead goes, no, this covenant keeps on going. And yep, today is hard. Today is heartbreakingly hard. And the covenant keeps on going. And there's a movie here. There's a much greater picture, a book that continues. Yes, this chapter happens to be a really hard chapter, but there's going to be other chapters. And those chapters will keep bringing us back home to this idea that we can have a faith born of love. In other words, we can have this deep trust. This is so big to explain, because I think it's incredibly important, for our own well-being. Is we can have this trust, and it's a trust that comes out of love, that just we keep on focusing on being the loving person. What's the loving response? Even in really hard times, be the loving person. What's the loving response? What does love look like here? Sometimes it'll look harsh. Sometimes it'll look kind. Whatever it looks like, but just keep on coming back to that. And it's the trust that comes out of that. When we start to just keep on trusting it, it does work. We were talking about that a little bit with sermon writing team yesterday. How like with the life of the Lord, the life of Jesus, it took the disciples a while to really trust that this idea of the way, which is what Christianity was really called, that the way actually works. You actually can live this way. You can live a loving life. You can live a life concerned for others, and you will find your true identity through that. You will find, David Brooks is great with this language around moral joy. You will actually find moral joy through that, which is a much richer, deeper kind of joy than doom scrolling on Facebook or however you do that. So friends, like the takeaway for today is really, really straightforward. And it might be one for you. It might be one that you can pass on to someone else depending on where you were, which is just remind yourself or remind others who might need it that there's a brighter future than they can currently see themselves. And even if you don't fully trust it, just breathe and know that it's true. Live in a loving place, and that trust will grow. Again, live in the loving place, and that trust will grow. And yeah, that's what we want to do. Live in the loving place and watch our trust in God, trust in other people grow. It won't be perfect, but it sure will be good. So that's the thought for today, friends. I hope that makes a lot of sense as we work at passing it on. And what we're going to do now is we're going to shift gears. And when we shift gears here at New Church Live, what we do is we come in for a soft landing as we go into a weekend. And what we're going to do is we ring a little prayer bell. You listen to the prayer bell. And then what we do is we do a little meditation, a little prayer, a little blessing, and then we say hi to folks on Facebook. So with that, dear friends, let's get a little breath. A line from the Old Testament. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I. Be still and know that. Be still and know. Be still and. Be still. Be. Our Father, who art in the heavens, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done, as in heaven, so upon the earth. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you, bring you peace, and bring you home. Amen. All right, dear friends, let's get a little cheery hello to folks. And again, this takes a second for things to come on up here on the screen. And right. See, we got Marcus. Good morning to you. I hope you're doing well, my friend. Now let's flip over onto here. We're trying to do, I find that the phone actually has a little bit better camera than my laptop does, which is why we're giving that a whirl today. See how that works in a non-emergency time period where we don't have to make it Have to make it work because the other one isn't. Linda writes, beautiful message, thank you, and good morning. And yeah, it's such a beautiful, I can remember when I heard Keith say that, and I just thought, yeah, that really is it. Because when we're talking to people about a brighter future than they can currently see, it doesn't mean we know all the ins and outs. It means you can, the way you look at it is you can so much see that the end of the story is going to be good. I say it all the time, and it's a really bad joke. Maybe you've heard me say it way too much. It's like a bad dad joke that gets told way too many times. It's this, which is that the only thing a pastor knows is they read the end of the book, and it's all good. And I do think there's a lot of wisdom in that, even though it's a corny joke. And as a pastor, because you do get to see how things work out and in ways that are really spectacular. You get to see that over and over again. So friends, God bless you. Have a wonderful day, and we will chat with you again on Tuesday. Oh, and feel free to join us on Sunday. We have a very special service on Sunday called Your Best Note. So I hope you can join us then. Take care. Bye-bye.